On episode 249 of the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we meet Kac Young and discuss her book, The Healing Art of Essential Oils. You can find the full show notes for this episode at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/249. Have you decided you're ready to make a change? To reclaim your health and fitness? The 40 Plus Fitness podcast is here for you. I'm your host, Alan Meisner. I'm an NSAM certified personal trainer with a specialization in corrective exercise and fitness nutrition. Let me be your coach as you find your way on your health and fitness journey. All right, let's go. Before we get to the interview, I want to ask you if you'll do me a favor. Sometime today, would you please introduce someone new to this podcast? It can be through a Facebook post, it can be through a tweet, or just one-on-one. And if they don't know how to use the podcast app or don't know how to find podcasts, give them a little tutorial. Show them what's out there and obviously subscribe them to 40 Plus Fitness. Our guest today holds a doctorate degree in clinical hypnotherapy, natural healing, and naturopathic medicine. She runs a private practice where she consults with people who want to change their lifestyles and prolong their lives, helping with weight loss, smoking cessation, addictions, physical conditions, and chronic pain. Our guest today is Kac Young. So Kac, welcome to 40 Plus Fitness.
Well, thank you, Ellen. It's lovely to be on your show. I'm excited to be talking to you and your fabulous audience.
Well, you know, I've been wanting to feature someone on essential oils. You're actually my first essentials oils expert on the show. My wife is a big fan, and I'm interested in them. It's just kind of one of those things of you know, there's only so many hours in the day to kind of research and figure this out. And so I figured I'd be the kind of guy to sit there and say, well, okay, you know, I know lavender does this and this is supposed to do that. And you mix them all together. In the book, you got recipes like mad science stuff, but very, very cool because they do have therapeutic responses in our body and they are going to help us in healing. And you really get into the concept of why that is and for how long these oils have been used. So I really kind of enjoyed going through and learning a little bit more about the oils, and particularly since you set this up in a very good way for a beginner to get started in this. And we're going to get into a little bit of detail later on this episode about how a beginner can do that. But so I liked how you staged it and put it out there, a lot of information about all the different oils and just really, really cool.
Well, thank you, Alan. I was really very flattered to write this book. It's called, by the way, The Healing Art of Essential Oils. And it was based on kind of my life story and how it all began. And then when my publisher approached me to write this book, I wanted to tell the truth because there's so much out there that is inaccurate and can be very harmful to people. They just think oils are, oh, la-di-da, I'll just, you know, they treat them like an eau de cologne. And that's not it at all. They're very, very concentrated chemical compounds that work with our bodies and can help us innovating ourselves and also solving a lot of our common ailments and problems if we will just let them. But we have to be smart about how we use them, cautious and careful, not to frighten people, but just to have them approach it with a little bit of caution in their thinking so they just don't dive into it head first and get started.
Okay. Now, one of the interesting things is in nutrition, they use the term essential. And what that basically means in nutrition is that it is something that your body needs, but it can't make itself. So there are certain amino acids, there's certain fats that are essential fats, and your body just cannot make those. So you have to ingest them or else you're not going to be healthy and potentially worse. The term essential, when you're talking about essential oil, means something different. So could you talk about what essential oils are, the term essential, and then some uses for these oils and what they can do for us?
Absolutely. First of all, essential oils are the common healing gifts to us from plants in liquid form. They are the heart and the soul of the kingdom and the essence of the plant on two levels. One, if you will, on the soul level, it's what makes the plant. And at the chemical level, the chemical compounds are the actual essence of the plant. And the plant gives off that essence in the form of an aroma, which we then inhale or put on our bodies in some way to receive those chemical compounds, which then make the changes in our body.
Now, there's a lot of different uses, and I think we're going to get into a few of those later, but in general, what what are some of the core uses or where people are using these essential oils the most?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about what the essential oils are and why I write about them and why I use them in my life. There are 10 quick points. The first one is that they are healers because they assist our body in repairing itself. They are holistic because they involve the whole person, taking into account mental, emotional, and social factors as well as the physical. They are sacred because they come from the deepest and richest part of the plant kingdom, and they have been used for 18,000 years by civilizations and cultures as a sacred or religious substance that makes the moment a little bit more important. They are the richest part of the plant kingdom. They're natural because they originate from the global ecosystem. They're green because they are non-polluting and they are compostable. They're valuable because they are non-invasive and they do not bombard the body with anything artificial or man-made. And they are complementary to human life because they raise up the whole person as an entity when they help heal. They are simple, they are potent, and they are magical in some of their ways, and I don't mean that in an airy-fairy way. I mean that they have predisposed DNA in their chemistry that goes into the body, and it knows what to do. It's like on automatic. And science still cannot prove that. We can only judge that by the effects that the essential oils render when they come in contact with the human mechanism. And that's the part where we have to step out of the way and use our intuition and our inner healer to really connect with that energy that we don't see in common medicine and science these days. Now, I don't disavow anything from the medical profession. I think that the AMA is terrific, and I think they do a lot of good healing things for us. I just want to introduce the idea that there are other components out there that are in a natural form that can also help us heal from the inside out on the various levels of the inner healer that we all possess.
Now, there are a few of the oils that were in the book that I was familiar with. And one, I've used lavender a good bit. I travel and I found a good bit of lavender just spritz on my pillow. Does a pretty good job of helping me sleep a little bit better. I've heard of eucalyptus and peppermint, and then oregano oil is an antifungal, but in that major, honorable mentions, you said there were other oils that would do the job just as well. So those were on your list and you just didn't want to repeat another antifungal. So I know there's some uses to them, but as a complete newbie, I have limited capacity to understand how to get started in exploring these oils. Could you kind of talk from that perspective of what I should do and how I should approach being a newbie in this field?
Well, absolutely. I'll answer that for you in two parts. The first one is we want to talk about what they actually physically are. And these are the compounds from the bark, the stems, the blossoms, the buds, the resins, the wood, roots, and seeds of plants. And they are distilled, they are extracted, and those distillation processes happen in various different ways. Mostly products, we want to be very careful when they are taken out of the plant that they aren't overheated, because as we know, free radicals can pop up in these oils if they are exposed to too much heat. And we can use all these essential oils in various different ways. Essential oils come in different categories, and they are the citrus essential oils do certain cleaning and antibacterial things. So you could use lemon, for example, in a cleanser for your household. You could also use lemon in a skin cream so that you could lighten your complexion. But you also want to be careful that you wouldn't use that same lemon oil in a cream that you're going to then go out in the sun, because certain essential oils are also phototoxic. So when you approach these, you have to know how to approach them. And of course, that's why I wrote my book, so that people could open the book, The Healing Art of Essential Oils, and really begin at the beginning and take yourself through the various different steps. I list cautions in there because we have to be careful with them, since they are so condensed and they are so reduced to a very potent condition. We don't want to just daub them on our fingers or spritz them around around a room, we first have to dilute them and disperse them in the correct way. You don't want to drops on furniture, for example, because some of them are so powerful they can eat right through the finish on your furniture. And what I want people to understand is that these are powerful tools, but you really need to begin by learning at the beginning what to do with them. They can be our friends, they can be our enemies if we're not careful. So in terms of safety, I always recommend that people buy organic or wild-crafted when they begin to work with essential oils, because as they are distilled down, so are any toxins or any other matter that might be on the plant. They're also reduced down and intensified. So if you buy organic or well-crafted, you're not going to get junk. You're going to get product at its purest form. So you want to forget the terms therapeutic or pure or natural or any of that. All you want to look for is certified organic or wild crafted. You never ever use an essential oil neat, which means directly out of the bottle. You don't just daub it on you because they are so powerful and intense. Especially you want to test them. You want to do a patch test with anything. The first thing you would do is dilute it, and I have dilution charts on my website which people are welcome to use, because if you don't dilute an essential oil, you're going to be using it full strength and you could harm yourself. People think maybe, I'll have a little chamomile and that will relax me, but they forget to dilute it or they put it in their tea. And if you happen to be allergic to ragweed, you're going to have a reaction to the chamomile, which you might not even understand what's going on, but all of a sudden you have an allergic reaction. And that's because you haven't handled it right to begin with. You don't want to use this on young children. I don't like to use anything but a hydrosol on children between 2 and 5, and nothing under 2 for the essential oils, unless you're working with a certified aromatherapist who really has the schooling and the education to know how to use these essential oils. Same thing goes for the elderly. We have a dilution guideline for ages between 18 and 55, but anybody older than that needs a bigger dilution as children. You certainly don't want to use it on pregnant women. You want to be very careful. There are some oils that are compatible with pregnancy, but you can look in my book, or actually you can go to NAHA, the National Association of Holistic Aromatherapists.org, and they will give you some of the safety as well. NAHA, NAHA.org. You want to be careful how you use these. And the patch test is important. You first select an oil that you want to use, and then you will dilute it at least by 50%. And then you take something like a toothpick and you put a little on your arm and watch it for about an hour, half an hour, see what happens. If you get any redness, immediately wipe it off with olive oil. If you don't get any redness, put a Band-Aid on it and wait 24 hours. Then you can see if you have any kind of reaction, because if you use an essential oil, either at too high a strength for yourself, or you use it and you develop a sensitivity to it, you will then be sensitive to that essential oil in any product that you walk into. So if somebody has a lavender bounce sheet that they use in their dryer, you're probably going to have a sensitization and an allergic reaction to that. So you don't want to create allergies in yourself if you start out with being sensitive to the plant and the plant substance in the beginning. So you want to test that. And you also want to avoid using essential oils near your eyes, in your ears, or anything in the genital area. You want to be careful, as I said, with elderly people, and you don't want to use citrus oils on your skin or in lotions if you go out into the sun during the day or you're exposed to the ultraviolet of the sun. You want to only use a citrus oil product at night when you can't be contraindicated by the sun's rays. You don't want to prepare any of your formulations or work with your oils outside either, where you can be exposed to the air or to the sunlight. You never want to use them neat in baths. I've seen people pour drops into a bath and jump into it and say, oh, good, I'm going to relax in this lavender lavender, this chamomile, this helichrysum, and then they find out that it gets on their skin and they can have a reaction or be sensitized by it as well. If you're inhaling them, you want to make sure that in your diffuser, that A, your diffuser is clean and you don't have any mold in it, and B, that you're in a big enough room. And you also don't want to expose children or the elderly or pets to diffused essential oils more than a minute or two, and certainly never unsupervised. So you have to be careful about that because you are inhaling chemical compounds. You are inhaling atoms that come from the plant itself. You want to keep them away from flames. You want to secure them from pets and children. I mean, if you buy essential oils in little bottles, you want to make sure you've got a little lockbox, or you put them way up in a cupboard where nobody can access them, because you don't want people ripping the cap off these essential oils and experimenting with them or sniffing at them or doing anything. You want to be very careful. You want to handle them like you would your chemistry set that you got in grade school, because they're very, very important that way. And you never want to leave them open. You always want to tighten the lid on them, and you always want to dispose of them correctly. You don't want to put them down the drain or in a sewer system. You can use essential oils. They all have an expiry date, but you can use them later if you want to use them in the wash to freshen your laundry, or you could use them in a garbage can, dollop a little on some paper towels and put them underneath your garbage can, and that will help it smell good. And you can use a lot of things for cleaners and stuff. You don't have to waste them, but you also want to be very careful about the expiry date, because like everything, they can go bad. They can go rancid and develop free radicals and other toxins. So I keep mine personally in a cool area, in a dark area, and all of my carrier oils I store in the refrigerator, because the carrier oil is the magic friend to all the essential oils, where you dilute them in a carrier oil of your choice, and they have different viscosities and different purposes as well. If you're going to use a carrier oil with like a helichrysum or a frankincense or a myrrh on your face, then you want to dilute that in something that's going to be good for your face, like a macadamia nut or a kukui nut. So there, I've talked forever, but I wanted to just give you an overview of the safety.
No, and that's why I wanted to ask the question, is because it's not a simple thing to utilize these oils, and you do need to follow a protocol, and you very aptly went through it there. So it is something that you need to study up on, understand pretty well, and then just slowly work your way into understanding how these work individually and then collectively. Now, my wife, she went to, I want to say it was sort of like Tupperware party for essential oils. Someone was hosting a party, and they were selling these kits of essential oils. And I'm guessing there was some education as to what these oils did and how to use them. And so, she came home with a diffuser. We can use them in the bath. And I know that my massage therapist, she uses some of them for various reasons, calm you down, or we're dealing with sports massage, those types of things. But there are some other ways that you can use them that I was not really clear on initially. When I was like, wow, I know a diffuser, but you're actually talking about inhalers and steam inhalation and compresses and body and face creams. So could you kind of go through some of the various uses of them and why you may choose one over the other, or if there's certain oils that kind of are more prone to be used this way or that way?
Well, that's a very personal decision. And so what I always recommend people do is educate themselves. Now, there's these Tupperware parties that go around. They scare me because a lot of them do not have the education attached to them to let people know what you can do with them. Everybody just gets all excited and they buy a bunch of these and they go home and they don't know how to use them. They don't know how to be careful with them. They also don't know where they came from. And one of the things I like to do is make sure that you buy from a reputable distributor who has their finger on the pulse of how these essential oils are grown, harvested, and then shipped to this country. You don't want to buy an oil that has been harvested in somebody's backyard on a farm that isn't well maintained or isn't sustainable, and then shipped in the hot hold of a cargo boat, and then it comes here and you have no idea the quality or what condition it's in. And it's just like this. We've all seen the movies where the drug dealer buys the pack of drugs, gets it into his kitchen, cuts it with a whole bunch of terrible things, sugar, borax, baby powder, packages up, sells it to his next guy. He takes it home, cuts it, and then by the time it gets to the street, you don't know what's in the bag that you're paying a lot of money for. The same thing is true with essential oils. A lot of people have jumped on the bandwagon because that's where the money is. So they figure, well, we can package up these oils. You can buy it at discount stores. You can buy it sometimes at high-end health food stores. But you need to work with someone who is really into this entire process so you know that your end product is something that you want to put into or on your body. And that's why these parties are dangerous. They're multi-level marketing things, and the people are not educated. And I have many of those people come into my classes and workshops, and they walk out astounded at what they didn't know. And again, Alan, that's why I wrote the book, The Healing Art of Essential Oils, because I want people to understand you're not just dealing with a can of Crisco here. You are dealing with a serious medical and health-related product that is intense and powerful. So, in terms of the uses for them, you can do lots of things. You can do something simple like deodorize your fridge by using lime, grapefruit, or bergamot in a baking soda box and put that in your refrigerator. Just make sure that it doesn't spill or contaminate anything in there. You can freshen your bathrooms with lemon, grapefruit, lavender, rosemary oil. You can use a diffuser, or you can use a little tub of Epsom salts in a container that is there as a dispersant, and you can drop your oils in there and freshen up the air. You can neutralize pet odor with geranium, lavender, or lemon. You can mix about 10 to 20 drops of that in a small spray bottle filled with apple cider vinegar or white vinegar, and you can spray that on the pet mistakes, and that will generally take care of the odor for you. A lot of people can use tea tree as well, but that can sometimes be an allergy instigator, and I don't want to use that around pets so much. You can refresh your carpets with a little bit of baking soda, peppermint oil, geranium, lavender, or lemon. You want to sprinkle that onto a carpet, but make sure that pets and kids cannot walk over that and get in that, because you're going to be using it full strength into the baking powder, and you want to let it sit for 15 minutes and then vacuum it up. So you want to do that in a closed experiment, if you will. Make sure the kids and the pets are out. You can dissolve stubborn substances like wax and oil and chewing gum with lemon oil. You can use that. You can use it diluted in a carrier oil, or you can use it full strength on some gum if you want to. Just be careful. Remember, you're going to handle it. So put on some rubber gloves when you handle that if you're going to use it full strength. You can repel spiders and rodents by spraying peppermint oil mixed in water around windows and doors. You can even douse a few cotton balls with peppermint oil and stick them in the places where the spiders and the rodents might come in. But again, be careful. You don't want kids to get into those cotton balls, and you don't want pets to have a sniff or take a bite out of them either, because those are powerful oils. You can add a good smell to your logs when you're burning fires. You just take the wood, drop a few essential oils on there, and if it's wintertime, you probably want to use cinnamon or one of the pines, but you want to also let that dry for 2-3 days, because you don't want to stick it in your fireplace and have the oils catch fire, because they're oils. They will. You can stay alert by, I happen to have a little pendulum that I bought online, and it has a piece of felt in the middle of this little pendulum, and I put peppermint and lemon in there when I'm driving, even teaching a class, and I have to be on my feet for 2 or 3 hours. I'll just inhale that, and that will pick me up right away. It's amazing what peppermint and lemon can do for you in terms of waking you up. You can do some fun things like sent letters and cards with your essential oils. I carry little bottles, little tiny small bottles of my favorite essential oils with me when I travel, so that I can change the odor of a hotel room if somebody's been in it that has had pets, or God forbid, smoking. So I carry that, and I can change the entire atmosphere of my room by using some essential oils that will either relax me or put me to sleep or change where I am. And I do carry a little portable battery-operated diffuser for that purpose as well. You can detoxify your entire body by soaking in a bath with rosemary and juniper or lavender or any of the combinations that you really like. I mean, this week I'm in favor of ylang ylang because it's soothing to me. It's spring and it's floral, and so I wear it on a little lava stone bracelet that I have, so I'm always surrounded by a beautiful scent. But when you take baths or you use compresses with these essential oils, you want to make sure that you use a dispersant. Do not just drop your drops into your bath water, but combine them with either Epsom salts, combine them with vodka, if you will, or combine them with an almond milk and let that disperse in your bath so that you don't get a glob of oil on you that could hurt you. You can disinfect cuts and scrapes with lavender or tea tree oil, again, diluted in a carrier oil, and you can put those because they are antibacterial and they are also extremely healing. Chamomile and lavender you can put in onto little cotton balls, or you can put on little 1-inch. I have little 1-inch squares of muslin that I use and or felt to put essential oils on, and then I can slip them into my pillowcase, and I will have that scent to put me to sleep, which is good sometimes. You can soothe a headache with peppermint, eucalyptus, and lavender oil, again, diluted and then massaged into your temples. Now, things don't happen quickly with essential oils or as quickly as our instant gratification society wants. So you might have to give it a little bit of time. You might have to give it 20 or 30 minutes to release. But that's sure better than popping a pill. You can loosen stiff joints by using a couple of drops of wintergreen, juniper, or vetiver mixed in a teaspoon of carrier oil. And I like to use olive oil for that because that's also helpful to the joints. You can create air fresheners for your car by cutting out little cute felt flowers or felt trees or whatever you want. And I have a pattern for that on my website because it's a very fun thing to do. You create your own scents and you will have a great time with that, and your car will always smell terrific. So those are just some of the uses. But again, in my book, The Healing Art of Essential Oils, there's over 100 recipes, and I list them for various different ailments that you might have or issues. I also list them for emotional situations, for if you want to reduce your anger, if you want to feel better about things, if you want to have self-confidence, whatever emotional reality is going on for you and that you want to shift, you can certainly use essential oils because they have the threefold healing. They have the body, mind, and the spirit. So I like to use them for all those purposes, not just when I get colds or a flu, but for everything that possibly could lead up to that condition if I'm not 100% all the time.
Awesome. So I know, if someone wants to get into the oils, you've given them so much information today about how to do it, what oils out there that they can consider. Getting started with the book is just chock full of that information and even more detail, along with all those precautions that you brought up and the recipes. And it was just interesting kind of reading through some of the recipes and saying, okay, 5 drops of this, 3 drops of that, 2 drops of this, 10 drops of that. And then this is how you use it. So it's a very user friendly, not as hard as chemistry was, because you've given us a recipe and there's no test. You just test it and see that it's not going to harm you and that you feel good when you're using it and it's meeting the needs that you have. But I am a big fan of not using medicines when we can find a more holistic and general way to do it with natural things like these oils. So I know some folks are going to get into this and say, hey, I like that idea about the felt. I want that pattern. Or they're going to want to look at the chart to understand how they can go about diluting these things while they're waiting on this book to show up. So where would you like for me to send them to learn more about you and the book?
Great. Okay. It's www.healingartofessentialoils.com.
Okay. And this is going to be episode 249. So you can go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/249, and we'll be sure to have that link in the show notes. So again, Kac, thank you so much for being on 40 Plus Fitness. It's been a joy talking to you.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for having me, and good luck to you and all your listeners. And I hope they have many years of joy and enriched life by using essential oils.
Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, I share the 5 best weight loss maintenance tips. Until then, have a happy and healthy day.